What's good, y'all? Let's talk about these failing schools in the inner city. Particularly, we're looking in Baltimore, talking about the Augusta Fells Institute of Visual Arts. Now, this story is very new, so unfortunately, I'm gonna let you all know off the bat that I don't have 100% of the information. And when something comes up that I don't know, I'm going to say, I don't know. And I'm going to keep following this story. Hopefully, more information will come out. But I just had to talk about it after I saw this report. Let me play the clip for you all so you all can see what I see.
Tonight, an alarming discovery out of a Baltimore City high school where hundreds of students are failing.
As Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains, we found a student who's passed 3 classes in 4 years and is ranked near the top half of his class.
So far, what you just heard is Baltimore Projects has reported that somebody's ranked near the top of his class and has only passed 3 classes. Hundreds of people at this school are failing. Somebody make this make sense. Tell me how a school can be so terrible that it fails hundreds of kids. Yes, we could get into personal responsibility. Yes, we can get into the parents' responsibility and the children's responsibility. But if hundreds of kids at that school are failing, when do we start holding the teachers responsible? When do we start holding the school system responsible? There is clearly a mismanagement at these schools that is interfering with these children's access to a better future. Let's keep going.
We're not letting none of this get the best of us. All right? Be strong, son. We got this.
He's stressed, and I am too. Like, I told him I probably will start crying. Like, my son is, I don't know what to do for him.
This coming June is when Tiffany France thought her son would receive his diploma.
And I'm just trying to fight. He like, Mom, what was all this for? What did I do this for? Like, don't he get a chance? Do he get a chance?
But after...
Now, because I also have a whole lot to say about the school system, like I said, we need to talk about the personal responsibility of the students as well. If nobody else knew that he was failing, he knew that he was failing. If nobody else knew that there was a problem, that he didn't understand the work, he knew that he didn't understand the work. This wasn't anything done to him. This was something that he did. Now, we're not going to ease up on the school either, because they passed him 3 years in a row. So he was failing and they were telling him that it's all right. He was failing and they were telling him that it's not a problem. So as a child, I mean, yes, he's a teenager, but as a developing young adult, it's been study after study of child development brain experts that can tell you that teenagers have a problem seeing far into the future of what their actions cause. So it's up to the adults in his life in order to help him, guide him, mold him until this young adult becomes an adult. So I'm not putting everything on him. At the same time, I'm not taking everything off him either.
After 4 years of high school, this mom just learned her 17-year-old has to start over. He's been moved back to 9th grade.
Why would he do 3 more years in school? He didn't fail. The school failed him. The school failed at their job. They failed. They failed. That's the problem here. They failed. They failed. He didn't deserve that.
France's son attends Augusta Fells Savage Institute of Visual Arts in West Baltimore. His transcripts show in 4 years, he has passed just 3 classes, earning 2.5 credits, which places him in 9th grade. But France says she didn't know that until February. She has 3 children and works 3 jobs. She thought her oldest son was doing well because even though he failed most of his classes, he was being promoted. His transcripts show he failed Spanish 1 and Algebra 1, but was promoted to Spanish 2 and Algebra 2. He also failed English 2, but was passed on to English 3.
I'm just assuming that if you are passing, that you have the proper things, to go to the next grade. And, the right grades, you have the right credits.
Now, let's get on the mother. She has 3 jobs and she's probably a single mother. So I understand that is tough. But in 4 years, she could have made time to figure out what was going on with her son. Here's the thing. She's in Spanish 1. They passed him to Spanish 2. She thinks that everything's all good. But she doesn't check up further than that. Her only concern is at the end of the year. I don't understand why she didn't do teacher conferences. I know at my school, when I was growing up, at every school that I know of actually, halfway through the school, you have report card pickup where you talk to the teachers. I don't know if they have that at this particular school, but there has to be some way for her to be able to speak to a teacher, whether the teacher contacts her or not. So I don't see how she doesn't know that her kid is failing. And as a mother, before you even go to the school system, you're supposed to be the first teacher. And as a Black woman, as Black people in general, we need to educate our own children outside of the school system, because the school system doesn't educate African Americans the way that really would allow African Americans to succeed. We already know that there are injustices in the school system and they are not teaching our kids correctly. But hey, that's just my 2 cents. Let's continue on to the story.
As we dig deeper into her son's records, we can see in his first 3 years at Augusta Fells, he failed 22 classes and was late or absent 272 times. But in those 3 years, only 1 teacher requested a parent conference, which France says never happened. No one from the school told this mother her son was failing and not going to class.
Now, I think we already covered this a little bit, but he was late or absent almost 300 times since the beginning of school. Like I said, she has 3 jobs. She might not be in the house a lot. Maybe he sneaks home and plays on the video game while his mother's at work. Personal responsibility on him, responsibility on her to not know about it. Also responsibility on the school for, out of the 3 years, only 1 teacher to contact her. Like when Kamala was a district attorney or whatever, and she had the law said we gonna put the parents in jail. It's really serious stuff. So the school, the district attorney, everybody needs to be more aware when students are ditching, because it is a physically dangerous thing. So at very least, somebody at the school should have been calling DCFS to check on the welfare of the student who misses that many days, because it could have been a danger issue. It could have been something more than what it was. That's just my 2 cents. Let's move on with the story.
Yeah.
France's son, in his 4 years at Augusta Fells, earned a grade point average of 0.13. He only passed 3 classes, but his transcripts show his class rank is 62 out of 120. This means nearly half of his classmates, 58 of them, have a GPA of 0.13 or lower.
0.13 or lower. Nearly half of his classmates have a GPA of 0.13 or lower. The school system isn't just failing him. The school system is failing all of these students. And like I said, I'm going to keep on following this story. Hopefully more information comes out. But I don't understand how a school that is doing so terribly is allowed to stay open. I don't understand the arguments that says it's up to the students, it's up to the students. Like, what do you all think, that these students are biologically inclined to fail? Do you think that they absolutely cannot do it? It has to be a social reason. It has to be either something in their neighborhood, something in their homes, or something with the school that's making these students fail, as opposed to children in different schools. Because if you put these same children in different schools, at least they will probably do better than what they're doing at this school. I'm not saying they'll come out to be geniuses, but they'll do better than, obviously better than this. This is just ridiculous. Just my 2 cents.
Good kid. Like, he didn't deserve that. Where is the mentors? Where is the help for him? I hate that this is happening to my child.
In your opinion, did the school system fail this child?
Absolutely.
This city school administrator who works inside North Avenue asked not to be identified for fear of retaliation.
That school community failed this student.
This administrator told Fox 45 News city schools failed because it has protocols and interventions set up to help students who are falling behind or have low attendance. In France's son's case, they didn't happen.
I get angry. There's nothing but frustration. We see on the news the crime that occurs, the murders, the shootings. We know that there are high levels of poverty in Baltimore. Things like this are adding to that.
Let me just say this. What a weak administrator, that he would want to not show his face out of fear of retaliation. Is your job really that important to you that you're not openly fighting this loudly and clearly? Because I'm not believing that this is the first time he knew that there was a problem with this school. They must have passed other students, graduated other students who failed 4 years, just failed, and then graduated. So I'm thinking there's some reason that I'm not quite sure on. I'm thinking there's some reason that they decided to crack down now. I don't know what the reason is, why they just up and decided to crack down, but it has to be something. And for him to, I'm just making my assumption, for him to know what the reason is, or to have a better clue about what the reason is that I don't know, and for him to stay silent and not expose the school for what they're doing, is just beyond me. He should have exposed this a long time ago. I am 300% sure that this is not a new issue that just happened in 2021. This is something that's been ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. That's what I'm going to say that's what I'm going to say without any other facts and evidence to back me up. Just my common sense tells me that this isn't the first time. Come on.
These children are why I do this work.
Dr. Sonia Santelises was school CEO 4 years ago when France's son was a freshman, but she will not interview with Fox 45 News. Instead, we received this 2-page statement, which explains what should happen when a student is chronically absent or failing. The district says students received a letter about their academic status this past summer, and records can be accessed through the campus portal. When a student is absent, an automated call is placed to the number on file. The statement also said the school conducted recent home visits and the student's parent visited the school. But France says none of that happened. What this statement does not address is why France's son was promoted despite failing classes. It doesn't discuss his class rank or the 58 other students with a GPA of 0.13 or lower. But it does say North Avenue is reviewing actions that impacted student outcomes at the school prior to this year.
Now, there's a lot to break down in that letter. First of all, we went over the automated call for absent students. Shouldn't it be automated? After a point, it should be an actual person calling to check up on them. I have experience with CPS, and we don't get automated calls. They physically call you so you can talk to somebody every single day. Somebody calls. So for them to have automated calls, it should at very least, have a 10-day thing where it's an actual person. After 10 automated calls, a memo should pop up saying, physically call this person, alert, alert. What else is in the letter is that there were recent home visits and the mother came up to the school and all of this other stuff that the mother outright denies happening. I don't know if it happened. I don't know if it didn't happen. It should have happened. That part, like I said, we're putting that on the mother because she should have went up to the school. If nobody else contacted her, she should have made it her business to contact the school. I don't know how often she works, but I'm sure she has a day off. She gets home at some point where she could go up to the school. She could take a day off or whatever. I don't know if her vacation times ever correlate. I'm sure she had one day of vacation that she could have taken off to go up to the school. That being said, the letter did not address why they passed him even though he failed the course. That's the main part of this. You don't fail and then get passed. I've never heard of that where you can go through 4 years of school and then all of a sudden you have to become a freshman again because you never passed. At the end there, they said they posted that entire 2-page report on their website. Like I said, I'm going to keep on following this story. So if you want me to, break down this 2-page report, do a video really analyzing this 2-page report, just let me know in the comment section. I'll probably do that for you all. Here's the question. What do we do about these public school systems? Because the students who don't have any choice except but to go to a public school really don't have opportunity towards success if the public schools are failing. Let's talk about it.